2025 NBA Finals is finally upon us after a long week of buildup and excitement for both the Oklahoma City Thunder fans and the Indiana Pacer fans. This is a great deal. This is years of building, hard work behind the scene, and also just developing a chemistry between the players that were drafted and traded for. Really looking forward to this. It should be a very exciting series. I think a lot of people that are underestimating the Pacers will be surprised to see them play well in this series at times. It's going to be a very difficult series for the Pacers, of course, to win because the Oklahoma City Thunder really don't have a lot of weaknesses. They are the best defense that we've seen in many, many years. In fact, they were the best defense throughout the regular season and through the playoffs. So that makes them a very big challenge. The Indiana Pacers themselves have established a good offense. They were good during the regular season, but they've elevated to become a great offensive team during the playoffs. Shooting 41% from three is something that doesn't happen normally in the playoffs. Normally teams' defenses lock down a little bit better and they limit three-point shots and three-point effectiveness, but the Pacers' effectiveness in their offense, not just three-point shooting, but in transition, has been remarkable. So we're seeing two teams that are playing at their best defensively on the Thunder side and offensively on the Pacers side. So we have a lot to look forward to. It's very rare that you see a top defensive team and a top offensive team play against each other in the NBA. I think we see that more in football, where one great team will be really strong defensively and the other is strong offensively, and we'll see them match up, but it doesn't seem to happen that way in the NBA. Usually teams are a little bit more balanced in that way in the NBA. And so I think a lot of people are excited to see that difference, that juxtaposition between the two different teams and see how well they play against each other. They do have some similarities, though. They both are really great in transition. The Pacers are one of the best transition teams in the NBA, and so are the Thunder. The Thunder average over 22 points per game off of turnovers, and the Pacers, in transition, the Pacers more than 25. So the Pacers have the ability to really test Oklahoma City's defense in a way that no other team in the NBA has so far. None of the other teams that they've played, Denver or the Timberwolves, get out and score that much in transition. The Pacers also score off of turnovers effectively, just about as well as OKC does. So there's some similarities there. They almost counteract each other. So it's going to be interesting to see both teams try to run and maybe run into good transition defense for the first time all playoffs and see what effect that has on them. Pascal Siakam is number one in the NBA in transition field goal percentage at like 73%, which is insane in comparison to everybody else's. And he has the most attempts of field goals in transition. Pascal Siakam is the fastest player in this series. I'm not going to say he's the best player, but he is by far the fastest player in this series. He can get from one end of the floor to the other with those long legs at 6'9", 6'10", stride, and we've seen blow past defenders all year long. And that's what makes the Pacers dangerous, is because they're not getting transition like they rebound and they just dribble the whole way up the court. They're advancing with the pass. And you're going to see a lot of throw-ahead passes to Pascal at midcourt or beyond. And from there, at head full of steam, he's incredibly hard to stop. He's good at Euro steps. He can spin and get to the basket, and he's going to get a good shot and shoot a very high percentage in those situations. That could be an advantage for the Pacers, just because even though the Thunder are good in transition, I think, in my opinion, Jalen Williams is their best transition player. But oftentimes Jalen is getting those points, just from pushing the ball himself. And I think the Pacers are going to be able to try to limit that a little bit better and more effectively than the Thunder will be able to limit Pascal on leakouts in transition. The Thunder also are going to try to rebound effectively. They have Isaiah Hartenstein, who gave the Pacers a lot of trouble last year when he played for the Knicks. And so that is a huge advantage on their side. And they are going to put a lot of pressure on the Pacers on the boards. However, we found that if the Pacers do get defensive rebounds, then it could hurt a defensive team that has the habit of crashing the boards on offense. So if the Thunder are disciplined in their rebounding approach and not allowing a lot of leakouts on missed shots, then they can be effective against the Pacers. They're going to have to be mindful of that. And so we don't want to say that the Thunder don't have any weaknesses at all. They can be beat. They've shown that they have lost some games in the playoffs. They've lost games on a higher percentage in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. But Denver, because of their experience, because of Jokic, they were able to do some things effectively against them. They struggled with Aaron Gordon until his injury. And even with his injury, in Game 6, he was able to dominate the boards. And in Game 7, he grabbed a lot of rebounds in that first half and kind of kept them in the game. So they're not perfect. They're not the 72-win Bulls, but they are very, very good. And they're going to be very, very hard to beat. The Pacers have their work cut out for them. and they don't have home court advantage, which so far in this playoffs really hasn't mattered because they've won so many games on the road. They've only lost one. Take back 2 road games between the 3 series. In the past 2 series, they won all 3 games in Cleveland and 2 games in New York. The first 2 games of the series, by the way, against Cleveland and New York. So they can win on the road, and they're not going to be intimidated by the crowd noise or the moment or the pressure. In my opinion, game 1, the pressure is on the Thunder to really get this one and establish their dominance over the Pacers early. Rick Carlisle and his coaching staff, he and Mike Weiner, have already won an NBA championship. They were together in 2011, where they had to overcome a huge challenge against LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And so they know that a giant can be slayed. All it takes is for Shea to have a couple of bad nights shooting. That's what it took for them to stop the Heat. The Heat had LeBron, and LeBron shot the worst in his career. He had his worst series in his entire career in 2011 because of the defensive looks that they gave him were just different than what perhaps he had seen all season. LeBron was a buzzsaw in 2011. No one thought that the Miami Heat were not going to win that NBA championship. And at one point they were up 2-1, and everyone still believed that it was probably going to be ended in 5 games. But instead, Dirk went off. So people say, well, the Pacers don't have a Dirk now. That's true. That's true. But they have a collective of players that could go off. Pascal Siakam seems to be rounding back into form after he had a little bit of a slump towards the end of the season, but he seems to really be finding his groove in the last few games, especially against the Knicks. So if Pascal averages like 30 points a game in this series, that's going to really boost the Pacers' ability to compete in this series. That's going to give them a chance. If Tyrese has a great efficient series, doesn't turn the ball over much, finds his teammates and scores effectively against their defense, that's going to cause all kind of problems for the Thunder. So I'm a Pacers fan, so I'm slanting some of this towards them, but I think it's very easy to see why the Thunder would win this series in probably 6. And I think that out of all the scenarios is probably the most likely. I am going to not side against the Pacers though anymore. I picked Pacers in 6 against the Knicks, and I'm going to do the same. I think they're going to shock the world. I think something's going to happen in this series. Somebody's going to have an uncharacteristically bad series for the Thunder. Jalen Williams or Shea, most likely not Shea. Jalen Williams or Chet are going to struggle, I think, because they're younger, they have less experience, they haven't been on this stage before. Pascal Siakam has been an NBA finalist. He has won a championship. He has been hungry. The man has been laser focused, and his defense against OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns later in the Knicks series was a huge, huge advantage. Pascal never got exploited. People weren't going at Pascal and just scoring over him effectively. They were having to get their points other ways and against other Pacers players. So Pascal solidly had a great Eastern Conference Finals. And if he builds on that, coupled with the desire that he has to win another one, and he has the leadership and the experience of winning one already with Toronto in 2019, coupled with the coaching staff led by Rick Carlisle, who has the experience of 2011, I think you can see some very interesting things happen in this series. So I'm going Pacers in 6. Which is a crazy thing to say, I know. But just the way that they've won, everything they've done this season, this postseason, has been unorthodox, unexpected, unseen, unprecedented, and historic in many, many ways. I think that trend is going to continue. What a great opportunity it is, too, for Tyrese Halliburton to really cement his ascendancy to superstar status. If he takes advantage of that, he only has to play great 4 games. A lot of people think, well, you get to the NBA Finals, you got to play fantastic all 7 games. That never happens. There's always a couple of duds. Michael Jordan had some games where he couldn't hit. Kobe Bryant had games where he was broke and he shot maybe 35-40%, on the field, from the field, and his team lost. So it's not a matter of playing great in every single game. It's a matter of playing great enough to get 4 wins. And I just think that Tyrese and Pascal can play well enough to get 4 wins, even against this great team, because this great team hasn't seen a team that plays so close to them and plays faster than them in many ways. The Pacers pass the ball, 100 times more a game than most teams. It is crazy the amount of passes that they throw. It seems like the ball is just constantly moving, and sometimes it doesn't look like they're really doing anything by making these passes, but what they're doing is they're making the defense read and react, read and react, read and react, read and react, read and react 6-7 times sometimes in one possession. And it's possible to miss an assignment, to miss a backdoor cut, to miss a screen, to get ran into a screen. So I think that's going to cause some confusion early in the series, and that may give the Pacers enough of a cushion by a game or so here that they, win on the road that allows them to close it out in 6. All right, so we'll see. We look forward to it. Shea is on a monstrous tear, and so if I'm wrong, I would not be surprised because he is an incredible player, a throwback player that we haven't seen since Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Michael Jordan, those guys that just, those guards, 6'6" guards that just carve you up in the middle of the court. And I don't think the Pacers will be able to take that away, but they were able to still win against a player similar to him on a smaller scale in Donovan Mitchell. And even though Donovan Mitchell paraded to the free throw line a lot, it didn't matter in the end. The Pacers still won. And so they've played against these really dynamic superstars in Giannis, then Donovan Mitchell, then Jalen Brunson, and they've been effective. They've figured out ways to find the weakness of those teams and exploit them. And that's what I think is going to happen in the finals too. And I think the ratings are going to be great, much better than what people expect, because I think there's a curiosity factor involved in this NBA Finals. And people want to see what's different about these two teams. How did they survive? And the Lakers didn't, which everybody thought that the Lakers were going to get there, or the Knicks, or the Celtics. So how did they get there? What makes them so interesting? I've seen that Shea and Tyrese are trending on Twitter and other social media. They have amassed the most increase in followers during this playoff run. So that's great to see. It's great to see that these players are getting the attention and that it's drawing people to this game to see really good defense and really good offense. Smart basketball being played and being propped up, and not just a lot of ISOs and one-on-one action that can be, rather slow and boring. So looking forward to this. Game 1 is tonight, Thursday, June 5th, and we're excited for it. And I hope everyone enjoys the finals. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Tell me if you think I'm right as well. And let's get it on. Hey, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It'll help me out as I continue to make these videos through the end of the playoffs and the finals. And I really appreciate you tuning in to the Tremendous Hustle channel. Thanks.